All right. So, start off with the mission statement. As always, our mission here is to create the greatest group of professional traders compiled in the world. We work tirelessly every day to improve our individual selves and push each other to get the most out of one another. With each individual's personal accountability, 100% effort, and consistent actions towards focusing on our controllables, we will each reach our full potential individually and as a family. I, Stephanos, pledge to be the best version of myself today, to do whatever it takes to be the greatest trader that I can be, and to be the most self-disciplined person that I know. I will do the things I have to do today, regardless of how I feel, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. I will control what I can control and not worry about anything else. Reminders: we do not overtrade in here. You do not over risk either. You don't need to catch a trade today. You're looking for an opportunity, and if you get one, you take it. 1 to 2 trade ideas per day. 3 if you see that perfect setup. Capital preservation over capital appreciation, aka focus on your risk management. Keep your trading plan in front of you at all times. Make smart decisions. We are system oriented. Think about your system. Think about how you trade, your strategy, other than, how much money can I make on this trade? Have a sense of urgency today, right? Get your daily must done as quick as you can. No entertainment, no Instagram, nothing until you finish those daily musts. That's the only thing that you guys can control. Finally, eliminate excuses and any victim mindset. Full accountability for your actions. All right. You are where you are today because of you. And you will be where you want to be someday because of you as well, because of your decisions. All right. Focusing on the economic calendar today, we had a lot of data coming out of Great Britain here. Claim and count change came out pretty, obviously still in the negative, but much better. Well, it went negative because it's a good thing, right? So you have average earnings index over here dropped a little bit as well, but that's okay because of inflation. But then you got unemployment rate over here stayed the same. But the fact that claim and count change dropped over here was the big number for Great Britain. You're also seeing, like, as far as GJ is concerned, you're seeing that weakness in the Japanese yen. So that's why you're seeing a pair like GJ really start to rally this week. Now today we have CPI, right? CPI coming out of the U.S. Once we break down our pairs, we're going to go and back test CPI over the last couple months and see, what gold ended up giving us. Were we able to get some trades as far as reaction to the news on those lower time frames, or were we able to wait for some of the higher time frames to play out before we ended up taking a trade after 8:30? All right, so that's what we're focusing on today. You got a couple FOMC members speaking today. RBA Governor Lowe is going to be speaking as well. Reserve Bank of Australia. That'll be later tonight, right? But other than that, this is the first main focus of the week. It's more of an inflation week. CPI is coming out of Great Britain tomorrow. We do have retail sales coming out of the U.S. and then we have PPI coming out on Thursday. So that'll be fun. Hopefully we could get some moves. Like, it's not like last week, where last week was or was that the week before? Let me see. What week was? Yeah, it was the week before last week where everything was crazy. We had FOMC and NFP where, you kind of got to wait for those things throughout the week. This week, you're getting your first main data point coming out on Tuesday. So, and then from Tuesday on, or actually Tuesday morning on, from claim and count change for Great Britain, we've had some nice volume. And not to mention, we actually had some nice volume yesterday as well. We had a nice couple moves yesterday on US 30 and what's it called, and GJ. So looking at the charts over here, does anyone have any questions before we keep going?
Nope.
You guys are good? Okay. So GJ right now is really actually starting to rally, right? We tapped into, let me just move you guys over. We tapped into 156 over here. That's been a major level for months on end, actually years on end, right? 156 was that level that we wanted to retest during COVID. We had a nice rally over here. Then we ended up consolidating over here. A couple discrepancies between the Bank of England raising interest rates in November and October and December over here. That's where you had all this consolidation. And then they started raising rates, right? And we also saw further weakness of the Japanese yen, which pushed us up as well, right? So now, again, reaching the yearly highs around 172. We've been in that bearish trend over here, coming right back down to that previous support of 160. right? Not only that, but we closed below and we came all the way back down to 156 again to hold that support. Now what we see is, again, last month in January, we ended up tapping into 156, flipping bullish and closing a strong body right here, right? It's a strong body with a wick to fill. So far, this candle has not only come all the way down into 156's area, but it respected the low of the previous candle, ended up flipping and grabbing liquidity, and now this candle's flipping and it's pretty much near its high, right? So you're seeing a lot of volume in the first half of this month, creating that bottom wick. Now the second half of the month, we're now starting to flip bullish, just like any other 30-minute time frame or 1 hour candle, where you're seeing the first half of it create that wick. The second half, it ends up flipping and forming the body, right? So that's kind of what's happening right now. You're seeing, again, more weakness in the Japanese yen based on their elections and all that stuff for the Bank of Japan. But right now, this thing is starting to head right back up. Looking at the weekly right now, even though we are rallying right now, we do have to keep in mind that we do still have this resistance right up top here, right? We've been holding that. Obviously, we're going to end up adjusting that. You can really, so far in the weekly, you can really draw that like somewhere right around here, right? But actually, you know what? We'll just keep it right there. But as we know, as we go down the time frames, we're going to end up changing that. Looking at the previous candles and studying the previous candles and wicks, right? We came right back below. We got that nice bounce, the first bounce off of 156 right here with that bullish candle. This candle respected it by closing above. This candle bounced right from that level and closed a strong bullish candle all the way back up to 161,200. Next candle closed below this area, and then the next candle ended up rejecting, right? So we need a nice close above this area before we know price is going to continue to rally. But based on this current candle and the fact that we came down and grabbed some liquidity, but also created like a higher low right over here, right? In this candle, no bottom wick, right? All bullish volume after last week, all bullish volume just started pushing up over here, right? So it neglected the fact that we had two bearish candles over here, just neglected the whole thing, and now we're right back up to 161,200, somewhere around that area. Looking at the daily right now, I'm just going to draw our support right down here. 156. We kind of like faked 156 out over here. Came all the way back down to 149, which, as you guys know, is a strong level. But this is that level that I was talking about. All you got to do is just readjust this. You guys are breaking down charts from the higher time frame to lower time frame. Just break it down and adjust your levels as you go down the time frames, which I've been teaching a lot of you guys for months. So right now, looking at this candle, yesterday, we ended up completely engulfing that bearish candle, closing above that previous support and resistance right there with a strong bullish candle. Now the current candle on the daily, right? This is the last session of the day, already created that bottom wick, flip bullish, and now passing the high of the previous candle. But now we're starting to approach this resistance over here, right? So the question is for us so far is, can we squeeze a move out of this area right here? Do we have enough pips to squeeze something out? Or are we going to be able to maybe play some kind of a correction that we have had in that area every single time we've tapped into it? Every time we tap into it, we get a hard rejection coming down. Even like that candle right there, you got that huge rejection and retracement closing all the way back down around like 159. So now looking at the 4 hour. 4 hour again created a beautiful higher low over here, right? Next candle ended up closing a strong bullish candle. This 1 a.m. candle over here. Now this candle had no bottom wick past the high right away, filled that wick, and now it's creating a new high up here. But we're now starting to tap into what looks like right here as a resistance, right there. Then you got this area right there that you got to be aware about. That's your main resistance right up there that we've tapped into. So again, the question is, how many pips are in here? So you got about 35. So you might be able to grab something in there, or you're going to play like some kind of a rejection in this area for price to continue right back down. But I would not be trying to call tops right now until you see multiple confirmations. All right, so we tapped into this resistance over here on the higher time frames. You got the 1 hour resistance over here, rejecting that area. Now you're starting to see we're already starting to reject that area, right? We broke above our previous resistance right here, kind of closed above, barely, but created that wick to fill, ended up filling that wick, and now we're starting to reject this area somewhere in this area, right? So right now, I don't know if I'd be taking any kind of trades in here unless we get that perfect like break and retest right here, and you get that bullish candle close. Next candle creates a bottom wick, passes the high. Maybe we could grab that, squeeze that out of the market, but we'll see. We're not going to get too greedy. But once we do break 161,400 psychological level, you do have a clean move to the left in about, like I said, 35 to 40 pips. Yeah, look at this. See, every single time we tap into this area right here, you end up getting this movement down. Right? So now we're tapping into that area. And if you see, again, break down the candles and wicks. We got a beautiful close above. We retest with this candle. And then that candle gives you a nice bullish engulfing candle. But this is the first candle that rejected that area. Then this candle closed below, even though it closed like a strong bullish candle. So even here, I'm still looking like, okay, maybe we could continue up if we have the volume to push through 400. But we didn't, right? We ended up rejecting that area again. Then this candle can't even pass the high of that candle and is now rejecting. So what do we need, Charlie? What are we going to need before we take a buy here?
We're going to need a close above. Let me just get my annotation.
100%.
Hold on. Going to need a healthy close above here.
100%.
Preferably a retest to take it back up.
Absolutely. Yep. I would be hesitant taking sells on GJ, especially with a week like we've had so far. If you guys take a look, the last few days are over here. We started out very bullish on Sunday, right? And then all yesterday throughout London and then New York, we created that move. And then after New York yesterday, we got our retracement coming all the way back down to support over here, which let me look to the left. We got a couple rejections over there to the left that we've respected. But we do have a clean move to the left over here. So if you're going to try and play something like this, I want you guys to be aware and be cautious before doing so. Because right here, what you could do is possibly play this, where if you're going to call tops, you have your nearest support over here get broken, right? Retested, then you get that bearish candle close. You might need to take that based on the 15-minute, but you got that nice retest right over here before taking that. Right? So that's what I want you guys to do before taking any kind of sells, because as you see, we've rejected that area in the past, and then we just ended up consolidating in here. Right? You would have gotten trapped in that sell trying to call tops. So what I want you to do is wait for some kind of a retest, some kind of a confirmation, almost like right over here, where like the first confirmation was like a little break and retest of this whole area right in here. And then you were able to grab this move with a clean move to the left. It's not that nice, but at the same time, it would have been the safer sell. So right over here, doing the same exact thing. Like this is another one. If you're going to call tops over here, you wait for that lowest resistance to be broken, retested, and try to take that down. But again, still very messy. This is another one right over here. But right here, if we do close below this area, right, wait for that to be retested before you try to take any sells. Wait for that strong bearish candle close right in this area. Kind of a shitty candle, but you see what I'm talking about. All right, so that's what I would be looking for. Anything below this area, because you do have the clean move, right? And you're playing those sells, but just understand fundamentally, you know, those sells should only be short term for you, right? It should only be a further pullback before price then continues right back up and gives us a nice further rally. Because you saw what the monthly is doing. You saw how the second half of the monthly respected the low of the previous candle. It's now flipping bullish. So there's a good chance that this thing, either continues up. This thing either continues up this way, or what could happen here is if we don't have enough optimism in Great Britain, and then the short-term weakness in the Japanese yen starts to die off and it starts to rally again, this could very well consolidate in this area, and then we then continue right back down as we head further and further into 2023, a year of probable recession. This is where it's probably going to hit this year, right? So at that point, you're going to see, this was Brexit over here, right? So like that was just Brexit. This was COVID right over here, this free fall over here. So at some point, this is more of a risk currency pair. You know that, any time of panic or fear in the market, this thing's going to further collapse. If you take a look at the 2008 market crash, it's like a bloodbath coming all the way down to 120. So far for us, as far as the data that we have, that's all-time lows, right? And then Brexit ended up causing us to retest 120, right? COVID failed to come down into that area. We ended up just tapping in. That's where the central banks came in. But now as we go into, further of the year and we see more signs of recession, this thing's going to continue to fall. But so far in the monthly, what we're seeing is a nice liquidity grab for price to continue up. We just need to keep in mind what this level is telling us right here. And if we could get a nice close above that area, you get a nice close above that, you get a clean move to the left. All right, you're getting an equal resistance right here, but you're also getting some higher lows. So that tells me that price could break through this area. You're starting to see the bullish pressure. So that might work out, but wait to see for price to close above that area. See what's going on. Looks like we're still bouncing off that resistance right over there. Also trying to hold like a higher low in this area as well, right? So we ended up getting that bullish candle close on the 15-minute, right? But still closed below this resistance. This one, the last one closed bearish as well, but this candle is kind of grabbing liquidity and flipping bullish in here. So I need to close above 400 before I take any kind of buys in this range. Any questions?
Okay.
Awesome. All right. So that's GJ. We will actually, let me go back and set a quick alert. 400, 170. All right. So looking at the monthly on gold, again, it's pretty strong bearish candle right over here, right? First half of the month, we created that top wick, tapped into 1960. Yep. We'll mark that off as 1960, previous resistance to the left. We've also rejected that area multiple times, but that's that current monthly wick where we ended up passing the high of the previous candle, right? And then flipping bearish coming all the way down here. We look at the weekly now. Weekly is kind of in the same spot it was yesterday, right? Not much movement. Gold's kind of been ranging so far. I would say it's pretty much waiting for CPI to come out. But right now we're kind of holding so far some kind of a resistance in that previous support and resistance to the left as well, right? We ended up closing below. This candle rejected it, closed like a doji, pretty much canceled out, didn't do much. And now this candle has a small top wick, has passed the low of that doji candle, and now it's just kind of waiting, right? Waiting to see what's going to happen. If you look at the daily now, yesterday we did end up closing bearish. And this is kind of what we were talking about for the last couple of days since yesterday. So we've had this bullish run up here. Price kind of holding that bullish trend line. We got a little exhausted, right, where we were really rallying, got a little overbought over here, and then we needed this pullback, right, where we then held this support over here. Could kind of mark that off as a support where we were holding that support with these weak bullish candles. This candle passes the high, grabs liquidity, flips bearish, closes below all these candles, and closes below that support over there with a strong body. This candle respected it, tapped into that trend line as well, but then closed below. Did close bullish, but closed below. And then this candle ends up closing bearish right at that area, right? So now it's kind of got, it closed a strong body, clean move to the left over here. This candle created a top wick. It is now, it doesn't have a bottom wick, now possibly flipping bearish to continue down, right? So you could see this candle creating that top wick, respecting the high of that candle and flipping as we start to get some volume into New York, coming all the way down to 1830. Here's our level. So now looking at the 4 hour. So far, 4 hours been creating these lower highs over here, right? We got previous support to the left that we're now holding over here. This looks like more of a range that I don't really want to touch just yet, but this 4 hour candle does look nice. If, let's say, it closed like that, you can see the next one filling that, respecting the high of it, filling that wick, and then continuing down, but we'll see. But right now, we could be creating that lower high that it looks like. Yeah. All right. So now what we got, yeah, it gets a little tricky. Like this could technically, you could technically draw this like that, right? Price just likes to tap into this area multiple times, hold a nice support, and then same exact thing over here. And now, as you see, we're creating that lower high over here that we could be continuing right back down. Last 1 hour candle, the 6 a.m. candle gave us a nice close below our previous support right here, right? We have a wick to fill as well, but it is tapping into a previous demand zone where we've tapped off multiple times. That just shows you that we're in a range right here, but price could continue down. Let me see the 30-minute. Yeah, actually 30-minute kind of grab liquidity with this flip, right? This candle taps into this area, flips bullish, closes a fairly strong body, bottom wick form past the high of that candle. Now we're coming into here. So everything depends on this level. Can we respect that level as a resistance and start to drive down from that area? Or are we going to close above, continue to consolidate in here? But when it comes to any kind of buys, I mean, I think sells, you might be able to take them in here. You got to wait for CPI because that's the main focus of the day, and you might as well save your bullets for that. But you could possibly take a sell in here. Looks like we are rallying up over here. But I think safe sells are going to be below 1850. Right below here, you got clean ranges over here to the left, all the way down to 1835, 1830 in that area. But when it comes to buys are going to be a little tricky here. I honestly don't think you really want to buy gold until maybe breaking. This might get difficult. This will have to get readjusted. You do have a clean candle right here to the left, right? That you could mirror, right? So if you do close above this area, maybe you could take that up. But I'm just telling you right now, I think safer buys are going to be above this area. That's how you know gold is going to continue to rally from there. Because now we're breaking this bullish trend, right? Breaking out of it, faking it out, and now we're going to be able to continue right back up. Now you got these clean candles coming right into 1920. See what I'm saying? Like I said, you could take buys in here, but you just got to be aware of all this price action over here to the left. You're kind of in this range over here. All right, but again, as we see right now, this 1 hour candle starting to engulf the previous one, passing the high of the previous candle. That did look like a liquidity grab on the 30-minute. The way this candle closed with barely a bottom wick, this candle tapped all the way into this area right here, tapped all the way into here, an area that we've kind of faked out in the past over here, and now we're starting to rally, closing above this area right over here. So again, we're going to continue to rally until 8:30, right? I wouldn't be taking a move until then, but we're basically sitting in this range anyway.
Stefanos, I have a question.
Sure.
Today, independent the news. If CPI is negative, the gold is up.
Gold is up.
technically if the independent news after he can break all the canal and he's fly.
Yeah. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at what we're looking at here on the economic calendar. Before we do so, I just want to say hello to Lenny and Lewis. What's up, guys?
Morning.
Morning. How are you?
Great.
Not bad.
How about you?
Oh, doing great, man. All right, I want to take a look at CPI over here, month over month and year over year, and core CPI, and what has happened in the past. That's what I wanted to do with you guys today, is see what has happened in the last couple months when it comes to CPI coming out, and how has that affected gold. Now, I think we're starting to change the market environment when it comes to, how gold usually has been reacting to a lower CPI, right? Based on the fact that, like, okay, if we're getting high CPI, that's going to signal to the Fed that they need to increase rates. And if they're going to increase rates, gold's going to drop, right? The dollar's going to strengthen. And then the opposite, right? If CPI is nice, if it's been coming down and everything, that adds optimism into the market. As far as like any kind of commodity like gold's going to be buying, because it's going to signal that the Fed doesn't need to increase rates as much. But now I'm starting to think that with more CPI, with higher inflation, I think the market's starting to change a little bit, where it's typical, in this way before the rate hike cycle. This was more of like, okay, if we have high inflation, people want to pour their money into gold. That's typically how it's been, right? So I'm kind of thinking that that's where the market's starting to change to, especially as now we're heading into a recession. But let's take a look at CPI over here. Back in January 12th, right? It came out negative 0.1%, right? Which is good, right? CPI was coming down. That's exactly what we want over here. I know it shows like a red number right over here as far as any kind of bad inflation. It's lower. Right now, any kind of good inflation is lower. So you got to keep that in mind too. But over here, they were expecting negative 0.1%. And that's exactly what they got on January 12th. So if we go back right over here. Here you go. 8:30. We ended up getting a nice like liquidity grab over here where price tapped all the way in. I think I remember this too. I have it journaled. Price tapped all the way into this area over here, flipped bullish, and rallied over here. But then we got this correction where price comes down, taps into this whole area over here, right? Holds a support with this bullish candle, and then we pretty much retest that high over there, right? So I want to see if I have this in my journal right now.
So when the news is neutral, is no positive, no negative.
You're
It's
going to get
neutral.
consolidation.
Consolidation, exactly. In here is consolidation, up and down.
Yes, sir.
No move.
Let's see what we got here. 11th. Okay, here we go. Looks like I got 28 pips on this. So let's see how we took this. All right. So great. All right, yeah, let's actually read through this. So this will give you guys a good idea of like how you guys want to think during this as well. Great patient trade taken on the reaction to the CPI figure coming out at 8:30, with gold heading up all morning in what I believe was pricing better inflation numbers in. I believe that it was all due for pullback, which we got. So gold created its high, price pulled back, and we got a huge rejection wick to the downside, which is what I was just pointing out, leading me to believe that we could get that rally post-CPI data like we got the last 2 months. I was looking for at least a pullback and support formed on the 5-minute. Wasn't too interested in the 1-minute entry. I was using the 1-minute, but not for the initial setup. Lowest I like going post-news is 5 minutes. So it seems to me like I was kind of writing this for you guys to read as well, but which helps. We ended up getting a great strong bullish close on the 5-minute, so I entered there with my stops below it. Price continued to push up and then ranged a bit on the 1-minute. I tried breaking the 1-minute resistance. It tried breaking the 1-minute resistance, but couldn't for a third time on the 1-minute. So I closed 50% on the third rejection. I remember this like it was yesterday. Once price came back to entry, I closed the full thing. So that's kind of like a side note. That's why these description sections are so important for you guys to write down everything that you guys were thinking and going through during that trade, so you could come back, read it, and understand exactly where you were. So let's see, 5-minute entry over here. So we ended up getting this huge liquidity grab, right? Strong bullish close. We get the high created. We pull right back to this area. Strong 5-minute close on our in our direction. I wish I could zoom in, but ended up getting that strong close. Stop loss went right below it. Price pushes through that one minute high that it created. This is what the 1 hour looks like. Now this was honestly close to that 1 minute right over here, but I took it based on the 5-minute. Right, very close to the 1 minute resistance right there. Ended up getting that strong close on the 1 hour with a wick to fill. Price just kept creating like higher lows over here. So as we started to reject this area, right? We started to reject that area, holding that resistance right there, resistance right there. Now we're creating that lower high over there. That's where I decided to secure some, right? So I closed 50% at as 1 minute keeps rejecting 1901, right? So right over here, to me, if I'm looking back at this, I feel like I should have closed more than that, right? I should have closed like 80% of this, being that it's on the lower time frames. Let me just see what we ended up doing here. Kept rejecting, kept coming, ended up closing the full thing at break even. And I would have been, and that's that pullback right there. Right. So that's kind of how you trade the reaction to the news. Typically, I've been able to get much better trades than that, but that's how you manage risk. Right. You see it on the 5-minute, which is what we took it based off of. You see the huge liquidity grab right there. There we go. The 5-minute. You see that 5-minute close? Like that's strong right there, right? You safely put your stop loss right below it, enter as soon as it closes, right? And then you take it as it goes. Now, again, you're not necessarily getting the 1-to-1, but again, that's kind of how you need to manage your trade. And that's how you use the lower time frames to manage and understand that we're getting exhausted up here. That makes sense?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so let's see what we got in the past over here. So December 13th. And I'm also going to go back to my old journal. We do actually have a bunch of CPI news. December 13th, I said? 13th, yeah. So we got less than previous, which is good for CPI.
Gold is up.
Here we go. So this was, I guess I grabbed 34 pips over here on CPI, gold long. So after CPI released this morning, much lower than expected, great for the current market environment. I was able to capitalize on buys later in the session before NYC opened up. We ended up getting a 4-hour close above 1808 at 9 a.m. and I waited for a high to be created around 907 and then the pullback. At 9, this should be here. Okay. At 9:13, after forming a support on the 1 minute, price passed the high created at 907, and I entered. Stop loss below the 15-minute wick. Ended up moving stops to break even around 920, and then closed 80% at 34 pips. Stopped at break even at 935. So right after the stock exchange opened, it looks like it pulled back. Good capitalization on news. Good job on this, but you had an earlier setup on the 5-minute. Okay. So I could have taken an earlier setup, it looks like, from the later analysis. So this is this is gold on the weekly. Looks like we're obviously heading up over here, more dovish Fed. So here we go. Entry as price post CPI 1 minute. So we ended up forming this support, closing above this resistance over here, holding support, right? And then we ended up creating a new high up here, right? Passing the high of the previous candle, stop loss below the support. Price continued to rally over here. You got a nice strong 5-minute close. Move my stop loss to break even below this candle right here. Close 80% at 34 pips, stop loss at break even. And then we ended up getting pulled back over here. So we pulled back. Maybe I could have left my stop loss in its original spot on this one, right? Instead of moving it to break even up here, I could have kept it right there, and I would have been able to capture majority of this move. But I'm just looking to grab my pips and get out when it comes to news, right? You rarely get, a nice long runner. I would say maybe if you're taking 10 trades after news, you're going to get 3 or 4 that end up being a runner. Majority of them are going to stop you at break even, and that's okay. That's your plan, So again, over here, this was the data that came out less than previous month over month. So November's CPI came out much better than expected over here. Does this help you guys? Like getting an idea of what kind of trades that you guys could be taking today? Awesome. Okay, we're going to take a look at another CPI here. November 10th. So October's CPI came out better than expected as well. So again, I'm sure we had another rally on that. So November 10th. Here we go. So if you see here, like it's kind of common for me to grab anywhere between 20 and 40 pips after CPI. Now it looks like I missed 165 here. So this could have probably been like a rally. If you see over here, we created this higher low, strong bullish close on the 5-minute. This 5-minute created a very small bottom wick past the high of that candle, and I placed my stop loss around 1740, right? So I ended up closing the full thing over here at 23 pips, and then I guess I closed 50% right up here, and then the full thing at 23 pips. But I could have left a runner here. This is the 1-minute. Price continued to rally here, right? So I think this would have been a nice re-entry right over here after we created this high. We pull back, we get this weak bearish candle close. Then this candle passes the high and creates a higher low here with this 5-minute close. Bottom wick form past the high, continuing right up. So could have possibly had a re-entry, but it would have been a little risky. So we began to consolidate in here. So I could have grabbed this move all the way up to 1750 over here to have this thing rally, right? With my stop loss in its original spot.
Stefanos, I have a question. You switch between time frame, 5 minutes and 1 minute to take decision. You keep 5 minutes the news to pass.
Cool.
After you decide, independent news, positive or negative, what you type, buy or sell. After you switch 1 minute to have your stop loss or your risk management. This is because you have some people you say 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, you have.
1 second. Great question. All right. So when it comes to me trading, right, I trade really based on the 30-minute, sometimes the 15-minute, the 1 hour and 4 hour. Like I'm really using those time frames. I'm using all time frames to trade, but when it comes to me placing a trade, they're always based on the 30-minute, the 1 hour, sometimes the 15-minute. But when it comes to news, you'll never see me trading the actual news. That's gambling, right? So what I end up doing is I wait for the reaction to the news, right? I wait anywhere between 5 minutes and 30 minutes for me to take a trade after the news comes out. After the data comes out, the market digests it. We get a liquidity grab, whatever the case might be. We finally start to see where the market wants to go based on that data. Because even though we have data, the market's not going to react the exact same every single time. Every now and then, you're going to get some kind of a reaction to the market that you were not expecting. So with that being said, you kind of have to wait to see how the market is reacting. And that's why I use these 5-minute candles over here for me to understand where price is going. So if I'm looking here, let's see, this is the 5 minutes at 8:05, 8:10, 8:15, 8:20, 25, 30. So this was the news candle right here. Inflation numbers released at 8:30, right? 8:35, 8:40, 8:45, 8:50, 8:55, 9 o'clock. So I ended up taking this at 9 o'clock over here, about 30 minutes after the news came out, this was the reaction. Because as you see, inflation numbers come out, we're not trading the news. We see a high be created. We see a nice pullback and a liquidity grab here on the 5-minute. We place our stop loss below the 5-minute. Bottom wick form, past the high of that candle, and we take this move up. Now, this actually is not the trade that I took. This was an earlier entry right here. So if you guys do a later analysis, what I like to call a later analysis, where I'll go back into these cards and I'll read through them, kind of like what I've just been doing for you guys, and I'll look through the screenshots to see what I could have done better. That's how you get better as a trader. It's like watching film as an athlete. So now what you want to do is start to look at what you could have done better over here. So this was the earlier entry that I could have taken here, right? You get the high created, we pull back, you get this 5-minute candle close, we get much better than expected inflation, which is going to cause the Fed to be more dovish, and it's going to send gold up, right? So we end up getting this liquidity grab here, enter after that candle creates a bottom wick and pass to the high. Now, I don't expect a lot of you guys to be taking this just yet, but what I do want you guys to do is do exactly what I did on this later analysis, right? Take a screenshot, tell yourself, this is where I could have entered. I'm going to study this. I'm going to write about it. All that stuff, that's how you start to get these trades. Just like what I was talking about yesterday with the dues that you guys have to pay as traders, just like being a resident as a doctor, you need to miss moves as a trader. You can't be getting in every single move when you're first starting out. You got to be able to miss moves, study them again, study them again after that, and then end up finally catching them once you feel comfortable. All right?
Yes.
Awesome. I need a drink. Holy shit. Got my
Stefanos,
Little
I have question.
hmm?
You have I like your strategy. I follow your strategy, but you have some people he like stop the enter before the news, like Raja. He make that. He put stop enter or stop sell in 30 minutes. The candle on 30 minutes before the news, and when the news he catch automatically. But the risk of this, sometimes the system he don't give you the price what you want. He make a gap, he make a less, and me I don't like this strategy of Raja.
Okay, so if
I
I'm hearing you correctly, you're talking about Rakil setting buy stops and sell stops before the news.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I were to ask you, would you call that professional, responsible trading, or would that be more gambling?
It's gambling. Yeah, no gambling.
Gambling, right? So,
Yeah,
and this is nothing against Raja. Like sometimes he does really well with these, right?
One
But
time he lose 30,000.
Hold on 1 second, Aziz. Sometimes he gets slipped. Sometimes he, you're gonna lose that trade. You're gonna be correct on the direction, but wrong on the trade. It's just it's a big gamble that I don't think is worth taking. Now that's him, right? That if he wants to do that, he does that, and I commend him. But for me, you're not going to see me doing that, right? I want to do the highest probability move in the market because I want to beat the market.
Exactly.
I want to be right on the move and right on the direction and right about all of it. Right? I don't want that gamble is not worth it to me. If price takes off with no pullbacks or any setups for me to take, so be it. I don't care. You'll never see me getting that much FOMO. Sometimes I'll act like not pissed, but just like damn, like that sucks. We just missed out on that move. But you're never gonna see me acting on that FOMO. It's okay to get FOMO and feel those feelings. It's natural. You can't like suppress them that much. But when it comes to actually acting on that FOMO and just trying to jump into a trade just to be in a trade, that's where you get in trouble. And that's what I don't want you guys to do.
Yes, I'm sure.
Make sense?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So what we're expecting over here again, if we're looking at the economic calendar, let's go back to GJ or gold over here. Gold right now, again, got that close above that area, bottom wick forming, passing the high of that previous candle. Now, if you're looking at, like, let's say what you were just talking about with Raquel, typically what he would do is maybe set up a buy stop above this 30-minute resistance, excuse me, and a sell stop below 1850 right here. Sometimes I could see him doing something like right above here or right below this wick right over here, right? That could end up happening. But again, like what I want to do is just wait for the news to come out. I'm going to wait for, let's say, like a liquidity grab right over here. Price shoots up. We pull back over here in the lower time frames. You hold some kind of a support, and I'll take that up. Where price ends up tanking over here, right? We pull back, get that resistance formed, either on the low time frames or even some of our 15 or 30-minute, and then you can take this thing down. And if it doesn't give you that, then I'm staying out. I'm not going to risk my my profits. Again, you guys are focusing on the big picture. This is what I tell you guys to write on your trading plan. You're trying to protect your profits from, last week. It's still Tuesday, right? You're still trying to start your week off on the right foot and make sure that you're making the right decisions. When we talk about like the reminders here, I'm not just saying this to say it. Like I want you guys to focus on making the right decisions every single time, whether you're, thinking about taking a trade or you're in the trade at that moment. You're focusing on making the right decision, not putting too much pressure on yourself, but at the same time, like, all right, what's the right thing? Like, what's the best trader in the world? What would he be doing right now? Right? If you want to become like a certain person, just act like that person consistently. So that's how I want you guys to think in the market. But when it comes to inflation today, what we're expecting right now is they're expecting an increase over here for January, right? They're expecting inflation to rise a little bit more than what was previous over here month to month. So now year over year, they're expecting the drop, which I'm expecting as well, right? I would be a little surprised if inflation's high over here, right? But if it is, where's gold going? Let's see. So gold, see, I'm still trying to figure out these levels. And we're like, I mean, I would say right over here on the 1 hour, could put that right there. It's just very choppy in here. I do think you're going to have safe buys above that area. But again, I think the market's starting to switch a little bit. But if we do have high inflation, right, I do think this thing could end up dropping a little bit. I think it could end up dropping a little bit. Just due to the fact that, like, Powell came out so hawkish last week and the week before. A lot of these FOMC members have been more hawkish as well. So if that's the case, you're going to see more strength in the US dollar. You're going to see this thing drop a little bit. And that's what I would like too. I think that's why we're consolidating, but you are still seeing the bearish pressure. Right? We're seeing the bearish pressure. It's not the exact trend line, but you're seeing the lower highs being formed, but we're just kind of consolidating in these areas. And now I think we're kind of grabbing liquidity up here. And then we could very well start to tank a little bit more. Again, if we get that higher inflation. But we'll see. We got about 5 minutes left for that to come out. We could take a look at US 30 right now. Before that comes out, looks like we are rallying right now. So right now, US 30, obviously, previous COVID highs, holding that support since October, really rallying up, coming all the way into 35,000 up here. Holding that previous resistance right now with that bearish candle coming right back down to 33,000. And then holding this support right in here. You ended up getting a nice bounce off that area. Higher low being formed. We're now rallying, flipping bullish in the second half of the month, passing the high of the previous candle. I'd be very surprised if we end up breaking above this area, which would be nice for the market, for everything, for everyone's 401ks and pensions and all that stuff, this would be amazing if this thing could break above 35,000 and continue to rally up here. But I do think, at some point this bubble has to pop. And I know I'm talking more thinking than seeing, but at the same time, I could see if we do retest all-time highs at 37,000, we're going to form some kind of a double top and price going to continue right back down. But I don't know if we break above this area. I think we continue to find resistance in here and price ends up rejecting that area multiple times and then continues right back down. But we'll see. We're looking at the weekly right now. Weekly, you could kind of see more of that consolidation. This we can move down. That's our most recent support over here. We've reacted to multiple times. We have this current resistance. You get that wick that ended up tapping into that area and then flipping bearish. But right now we have this resistance right here that price keeps rejecting, right? But we are holding higher lows. So you're seeing the higher lows being formed here. But we are holding the same resistance right here, which tells me that there's more bullish pressure and this thing could continue right back up. But I do like the fact that you're starting to get like that bullish candle close, creating this higher low over here, right? We are still rejecting that area because you rejected it with that doji candle right there as it flipped bearish. But this candle ends up closing a doji, kind of like a bullish doji. This candle respects it, flips bullish past the high of that candle, tells me that we, if we get a lot of positivity in the market, this could continue to rally over here, like through that level. Yeah, see, if you look at this current price action right here, look at this current price action, you're getting nice rejections in this area. Got one right over here, right? So what you want to see is a nice close above here for price to continue up. What I do like, though, is that we're holding this support. You did have that level right there, which is important. But you're like holding this support over here, and price is bouncing off with that candle, respecting the low, passing the high of that candle, closing a very strong bullish candle. Now this candle is already creating its bottom wick and passing the high of the previous candle right there and starting to rally. So this price action tells me that there's a good chance that price breaks through 34,400. Let's see the 4 hour. Let's see, we just had to adjust that. I guess you could keep that there if you want. We have been rejecting this area in the past, right? Just keep tanking from there. Rejection over there, and then we rejected over here, but we did hold this higher low, right? And we did close above that area. Problem is, we don't have much range in here to continue taking buys. I do like this price action right here. I would be waiting for CPI anyway, but I think safer buys are going to be right here once you break out of that resistance, because we've rejected this area so many times here. The strong supply zone. Right, but it looks like we get some optimism in the market to start the day and start the week. Is that resistance? Here's that higher low that we ended up forming. Just nice. Closed above, holding support over here, and continuing to rally. So again, I think unless we come down, right? Like let's say you're not in this, and we come down and grab liquidity, and hold support over here, I think this thing can continue right back up. And that might be a nice trade to take. But I do like that liquidity grab right there. Let me see the 30-minute. Yeah, 30-minute actually ended up giving you more of the retest right here. All right, create that high, get some weak bearish candles closing, bottom wick forms, past the high of those wicks, and continues up. But let's see. If we get any low inflation, that's gonna give us optimism in the market, and that'll be good for the market. But with that being said, looks like GJ is really trying to consolidate in here. Again, for any kind of sells, I'm looking for something like that. Wait for this retest. Let me just use the restroom. I'll be right back. Yo. All right. So it looks like GJ is starting to break down over here. If you look at the 4 hour, right, we're starting to reject that area a little bit. I'm sure the 1 hour right here started to trap a lot of people. 1 hour and the 30-minute, more so the 30-minute right here, where we ended up breaking above that area, creating that high, coming down, holding that support, bottom wick form past the high. I think that may have trapped a lot of people, not realizing that this is a area that we could easily reject to the left. But right now, what I'm looking for is you got that strong bearish candle close, nice top wick forming on this candle, starting to pass the low of the previous candle right here. Right? Are we going to be able to break through this area? Now, again, what I'm looking for is a top wick rejection. I'm looking for a close back below here, a strong close below, top wick rejection, and take this down, or the classic break and retest. That way I know that we're not like fighting the market necessarily. We're actually just going along with the market. That makes sense?
You're looking for a close on what time frame?
Probably on the 30-minute. I'd like a nice strong close. Here, I'll draw it out for you guys. Say this candle closes like this. right? You get next bullish candle, maybe closing like somewhere over here, but rejecting that level. Then you get the classic bearish candle close like that, or maybe a weaker one. Next one creates a bottom wick. Oh, that would not be right there because the open is right there. Something like that. Clean move to the left. Make sense? Trying to take a breakout impulsive entry right here is only going to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get caught in a liquidity grab and price is going to continue right back up. But if you make sure that this level, which everything depends on right now, if you wait for that level to hold the resistance, now you know, oh, okay, no, we're heading right back down. We need a correction to this move. You know? I don't want to see you guys getting in trouble. Lewis, you want to break down the chart for us? Lewis,
I'm sorry, what did you say?
want to break down the chart?
Right now?
Yeah.
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
You're not confident?
No, not right now, man.
Okay. Anyone else? Oh, look at this. Quinn, you want to break something down for us?
I'm not sure I can annotate on that stuff. Oh, yeah, I think I can. Just
Yeah,
a
I'm
second.
sure.
Stefanos,
What's up?
Yeah,
I have
does
a
that work?
question for is no I have FTMO challenge. I have $13 after I lose my challenge. Okay. And I have a lot risk to solve the, I save my FTMO challenge. Okay. I put a stop enter for buy or sell for gold. If I move, I win. If I no moves, I lose because the only things I can save the FTMO because I have 1 week. I don't touch FTMO. I don't have money to risk management because you understand my situation.
Not really. I'm trying to understand what you're saying. So you have an FDMO account, right?
And I lose a lot of money. I have just $12. If I lose $12 for this operation, he close all thing for me. My challenge is done.
So your challenge you need if you lose $12 on that challenge, it's over.
Yeah, because you touch your limit for this challenge. Your limit for day.
Basically, you're in
Yeah.
a couple $1,000 drawdown.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have $12. I have risk a little bit to say solve my to save my FTMO. I think yesterday I put stop enter stop sell for if go I win. I like to have $400 just after I can make 2-3 trade no risky and what do you
were
think?
what were we just saying when it comes to place and buy stops and sell stops? That's
For
gambling, right?
goal like gambling strategy of Raja, man.
Yeah.
You know,
That so what gets you out of the drawdown? You know, it's gonna be successful trading that you keep consistently. So my personal opinion, I feel like that account's done. And I'm not typically the pessimist or anything like that, but
yeah, 90% is done. But
yeah, when it comes to you only having $12, like you're gonna be trying to dig yourself out of that for a couple weeks or a couple months, you know, only risking 0.01 lots, you know, just trying to slowly dig your way out. Then all of a sudden, if you make one mental mistake, which you're about to do right now with the buy stops and sell stops, that could erase multiple weeks of you doing that, and then all of a sudden your confidence is done and it's shot from there. But typically what we do when it comes to these funding accounts is like we put together a plan for you guys. We have a couple guys in here doing them right now with like Quentin, you're doing your account right now. Jamie's doing his, I think Sammy is, Sergio, are you doing yours yet?
I might get one in next month or the next 2 months.
Oh, okay. You know what? This month is, starting London, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what I do for you guys is kind of put together a plan where you prove to yourself that you could pass these challenges, and for you to be able to do that, it takes a couple of weeks for you to build either a demo account or a live account, a certain percentage every single week. And if you could do that, then you could pass these challenges, no problem, if you're focusing on percentage gain. All right, but right now, like this is the beginning of your trading journey. I know you've been trading a couple of years, Aziz, but like once you come in here and we actually start to hone in your mental foundation, and we make you we help you looking at the market a lot clearer, a lot better. That's where your true, and then you get much more discipline in here too. Your trading journey really starts to kick off. So I don't want you to be too down on yourself right now for, being that much in drawdown on that account. Like we're going to be able to get you a new account if you end up failing that. But what I would do is just make sure that you're focusing on the right decisions and focusing on, catching a trade the right way. Like, and I'll call one out if we get one on CPI over here, which I think CPI is going to be sells. But, if that's the case, then I think, or once that is the case, then I think we'll be able to get you a new account and make sure that you're ready to actually pass a challenge like that. We'll talk more privately, all right? Aziz?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Would you say they're worth doing when you're ready for it? These FTMO things.
So what I'd like to do here, I'll do it right now for you guys. So if you guys can, so week 1, gain 2.5%. I don't know. Can you see my writing right now?
Yeah.
You can? Okay. So the week 1, if you can gain 2.5% consistently, okay. So week 2, can we do the same exact thing? 2.5%. Somewhere in that area, right? How much is that going to be if you could do that consistently every single week? That's going to be 10% a month.
Right, 10, yeah.
That doesn't seem too hard, does it? If you're just focusing on percentage gain, you're focusing on each given trade being the best decision that you could make during that market environment. So you're coming to the market with multiple bullets, with 2 bullets, right? 2 bullets. Are you going to use one of those during pre-New York with shitty market conditions like consolidation right here? Or am I going to save my 2 bullets for after CPI, which is one of the main focuses of the week, right? It kicks off the week with volume. Am I going to use one of those 2 bullets for that after the news comes out? You get what I'm saying? So just focus on the next trade, making sure that you're focusing on the week as a whole and building your week up to 2.5%. Right? That's your main goal. It's 2.5%. Well, actually, it's not your main goal. I'm wrong about that. That's the goal in the back of your mind. But what is the main goal that you guys are focusing on every single week? Anybody know?
Making good decisions.
Follow the
100%.
plan.
Exactly. What are the things that you can control? Can you 100% control this?
No.
You're not in 100% control of making 2.5% every single week, right? It seems pretty easy, and it is, but like, are you 100% in control of that? No, you're 100% in control of focusing and sticking to your plan every single day, and then also doing the things it takes every single day to get you to consistently gain 2.5% per week, right? And that is back testing, studying your trades, journaling every single trade that you take, every single trade that you miss, being really diligent about what you're doing every single day in the market, making smart decisions, all those things. Like, that's what you want to focus on. And you will get there. That's why we back test 3 times a week together and live trade together. Just to go over all these things every single day, the mission statement, the reminders, the breakdowns. And, you know, if you're not confident in your own breakdowns right now, that's really the best time to actually break something down in front of everyone. Don't care about, you know, your performance or anything like that. Everyone in here is the right type of person that's gonna want to help you and all that stuff. So every single time you break a chart down, you're getting a lot better. Gonna pull back here on US 30, which is what I wanted. Second. So Shargio, we got 12 o'clock today.
Yeah.
Awesome. Lenny, we have 2 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
Lewis, when are we hopping on a Zoom? Lewis, you walk away?
Give me 1 second. I'm on a call.
Sure. All right. GJ, as you guys could see, we're just kind of ranging. Let's see, when else have we gotten CPI? October 10th, October 13th. Quentin, how was your morning?
Good man. I had work this morning,
Nice.
so I was just on the charts for pre-London, and I put a live back test on GJ for to see if it would be good to get that up. So it ended up playing out.
Okay. Where was the entry from?
I was looking at entering after the bullish 30-minute candle with no top wick.
Right here.
Right there. It passed the high right away, then went back down to create that wick. And so my entry would have been once it created that bottom wick again and flipped back bullish.
Okay.
And so I put an entry there with a stop like a few pips below the wick.
Right here.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I journaled it.
Oh, nice. Perfect. I gotta get into the group Trello and break everything down for everyone.
Yeah, I just have to label the stuff and put a little description to with that recall of this the fact that the candle passed a high right away and went back down, all that.
So that came out at 2 a.m. right over here. We pulled back and then we ended up getting that close. I could see why you didn't want to take it because it did pass the high right away and no top wick. I think maybe I would have just placed my stop loss right here. Below that.
Yeah, no, and I was going to work, so that's also like it was just before I went off to work, so that's why I didn't take it too.
Okay.
But all like I had like there were two places where I was looking to okay, I'm definitely not accurate with my finger. If I can, yeah. So I was looking at this being a resistance, but eventually this one could also be the resistance. So
Yeah.
could see some resistance being formed and not passing that as the candle with no top wick closed below the one that's the further up.
Yeah, I feel like that's the correct zone where
Yeah.
like all right, now we're breaking structure above that
Yeah,
area.
that is.
They're right in there. I would say maybe this right here. You see how we like pull up over here, we create that high, and then we pull back and create that close right there. Maybe
Yeah.
this right here.
Yeah.
You can put your stop loss below that liquidity grab or below that candle right there and maybe enter after that candle close or past the high of that candle right there because you're now breaking through that resistance and trying to retest that high. I think
Yeah,
that's
what
a
I was
safe enough
looking
stop.
at weekly.
Yeah, but that I mean that's the thing. That's on the 15-minute.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I mean, it would have been below that 30-minute wick. Maybe right as you're passing the high of that candle. It's just an iffy setup. I definitely understand why you wouldn't take it, but it was definitely a possibility. Get very similar candles right here, right here. Bottom wick form, no top wick. Next one creates a bottom wick past the high. Same thing. But let's see what we could do. See, that's why you don't want to take that sell right here. Impulsive sell.
Yeah, but I think also like with time, like my intuition is going to get better, and because when we were like consolidating here and so holding a support, I had like that feeling that we could hold support and retest the high that was made here, but it wasn't strong enough, and I haven't been doing that enough for enough time to take the trade. But right there, you could even look at taking that impulse volume push, if you really believe that this would be like some kind of fake out below here, and so we hold a support, we pass the high of that bearish candle. If you really expect and have the intuition that price is going to go continue up, that's an early entry you can take with maybe half the risk and then build up.
That's interesting. You just said that because I wasn't even looking at that because of this level. But that is technically kind of an impulse volume push right here because you're capitalizing on this fake out. Because that was a support in the past where we closed below, but then we ended up closing right back above that area and creating that wick to fill. Right? Then we end up closing bullish above that area. This candle rejects it, and then this candle taps into it and then passes the high of that candle. That might be valid. You might just want to put your stop loss maybe down here instead of right here.
Okay.
But I could see you putting your stop loss like right here.
I recorded this entry as well in the group Trello, but same thing, I got that resistance, so I didn't enter as well.
What's up, Lim? So you're talking about this one?
Yeah, I recorded this in the group channel, but this area also was a concern for me as well, so I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right here, this is what you're concerned with?
Yeah.
Yeah, rightfully so. I totally understand that. I would say maybe like I could see myself taking this for sure. Now that I'm looking at this during the London session. And it's after the news, right? We create that high, we pull back, we end up, holding support here. See the 15-minute held support right there as well. Right? We started getting these bullish candles closing, making new highs up here. Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Yeah, I would.
But I
Yeah,
could see why you guys stayed out, and I commend you guys for it. It's nothing, it's no fault of your own for not being comfortable with this, because these would be high risk, high reward buys. These would be safer buys once you break this level. But there wasn't a clear entry right here. And these would be maybe even safer buys on the 15-minute. But yeah, I do like this a lot. Let me see the group chat out, Lim.
The last one.
Nice. Look at the detail. Okay, so you were planning this over here.
Yeah.
You got that bearish close, and now you're waiting for the pass of the high, but I'm sure you're waiting for the bottom wick.
Yeah. Let's
Okay, so that was the 1 hour. Makes sense. This was the 5-minute. 15-minute. You got that bullish close. Yeah, there you go. And now what kept you out, Lim, was just this level, right?
Yeah, and the wait, let me annotate. This was the what time was this? This candle, this bullish candle.
This candle was 3 a.m. Eastern, so London
Yeah,
open.
the bottom weight only was created only at I think 3:10. So it initially pushed without a bottom weight initially.
It pushed up and then pulled down and then pushed back
Yeah.
up? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that shows you that there's some bullish volume. You just don't want it to pass right away. But let's go over to looks like we're holding that support right now, right? It is 828. I'm gonna go over to gold right now. Now's a good time to probably journal. Give me 1 second. Probably should have done this before. That's all right. Shoot. Got about 38 seconds left. Just want to take our time frame screenshots. Beautiful. 5 seconds left. If someone has the data, just read it out to us if you can. All right, we're pushing up here on GJ. Wow, pushing down hard. Could just be a liquidity grab to continue up, or we're gonna really push down. Wow, CPI year over year rose. And then CPI month over month was as expected. Right, 0.5%. So not much improvement on inflation. Yeah, core CPI as well stayed the same. Damn. So this thing could continue down. I thought if we're going to continue down, we get more of a liquidity grab and then continue right back down. But again, safe sells below here. So if we could get a safe close below 1850 here on gold, I could see this thing continuing down. Let's see the dollar. Now keep in mind it wasn't that big of a number, that big of a. Here we go. See the dollar starting to rise over here. We're starting to rally a little bit. Keep in mind that it wasn't that big of a number, that big of a surprise. So you may not get that big of a move, but at the same time, it is kind of a surprise that CPI is up a little bit. Right. So again, higher inflation is signaling towards the Fed that they need to continue to stay hawkish, continue to raise rates, which is going to continue to keep the US dollar strong and gold weak. We're right over here. It's not doing too much just yet. So that 1 minute close all the way at that area. Now we're tapping into this resistance. So we already grabbed liquidity at 1850. And now GJ over here is starting to rally quite a bit. Look at that liquidity grab here. And this is a perfect example. I know we just got news, but perfect example of why you want to wait for a break and retest right here before taking sells against the trend. Make sense? Anyone with me today?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Awesome. All right, so gold, what a liquidity grab. Holy shit.
Wow.
All right. So again, wait for the reaction to the news. It's only been 2 minutes, right? Aziz, how you doing, buddy?
I put for FTMO, I make 167.
Oh wow, there you go.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of money to save my FTMO.
Okay, there you go. Slow but steady, right? Yeah, we'll be going over all that stuff on your individual Zoom, talking about accounts and how to grow, how to compound, how to focus on your skill set.
The news is positive.
It
Donc,
is.
donc the
Again,
gold
like-
he must do down. He's fell. Why he's react like that?
Because like I said, you know, I said this today and I said this the other day as well, is the fact that I'm thinking the market is starting to switch a little bit in terms of what we typically would expect from gold in like the last year. Like 2022 was all about rate hikes and stuff like that. Now I think, you know, the market is starting to turn around where people do want to invest into gold as inflation starts to go a little bit higher, right? So it's not so much on that central bank sentiment of, okay, high inflation, the Fed is going to continue to raise rates, which, you know, that's what it's been the last year and a half, right? And it's, I don't know if it's like that. I think it's starting to change a little bit, right? So typically, you know, higher inflation like that, 6.4% over here year over year, which rose, and then obviously CPI higher than previous over here, but it was that expected, so not that big of a shock. So it's, you know, everything's going to be kind of priced in, but I think maybe, you know, the market's starting to shift a little bit in terms of that. But I'm surprised by US 30. I think we're got some optimism in the market, but I want to see GJ over here. A nice fake out right here, right? And if we could get a nice strong close here on the 15-minute, the 5-minute actually closed a strong bullish candle. I could see potentially putting your stop loss below like 161, 293 to continue up. I want to see if the 5-minute can hold the support right here, right? Because I want to see if we could grab this thing up. Looks like we're tracing a little bit, but I would like to see more so the 15-minute at least close above this level, right? We have 35 pips in here that we could potentially grab. We got a wick that we could fill, but again, we need a strong close above this level for us to want to grab anything on GJ here.
a question. Which correlation between GG and the news? Because it's news American and GG British.
So GJ, you got to think of certain pairs as being risk on pairs, right? Not just like each currency in the pair, but it's more so the actual pair, what they are in the world. And a pair like GJ is more so a risk currency. You're buying the pound, which is a risk currency, and you're selling the yen, which is a safe haven currency. So this is one of those main currencies that people are going to be buying when there's optimism in the market. When there's pessimism, this thing's going to be falling.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So it looks like we're pulling back over here. It's probably smart to wait for some kind of a support to be formed here on the 5-minute before taking any kind of buys. But more so, you'd want to see at least the 15-minute close above that area. But I do like this fake out. What do we always talk about fake outs? What typically happens on the other side of that fake out? Anyone remember?
Breakout.
There you go. 100%. So what I would say is there's a 70 to 80% chance that if you get a fake out like this, price is going to retest that previous resistance. And now there's a 60 to 70% chance price is going to break out of that area and continue up. It's not as high as at least retest. I actually think it's around like 80 to 90% that it's going to at least tap into that previous resistance. Or if it's a fake out to the top side, I think there's a 90% chance that we're going to retest that support. But there's also 60, maybe 70% chance that we'll actually break through that level and continue right back down. But we'll see. I think GJ might be a little exhausted as we're coming up into this previous resistance and this whole area. You could really mark this off right here, technically like this. This is a supply zone right here. This whole area. Does that make sense? Anywhere in that area, price can end up rejecting. That's why it's going to be difficult to take any scalps or buys into this area. But once we start to break out of this area, right? Then you get the.
And it's gonna be
to the left.
yeah, that's gonna be a nice trade
Hell yeah!
if that happens.
Give me that all day.
Mm-hmm.
But in this whole area right here, it's going to get a little tricky at this point. This was a nice rally that we started the week off with, right? And then you guys had this morning. It's been typically London moving. Actually, we did have a nice move yesterday on GJ. Let me see gold over here. Gold is really, like I said, kind of mixed data, right? We're still sitting in this range. I think predominantly gold wants to continue down over here, starting to change market environments. So I think you're going to have some safe sells below that area. But if you want to take any buys on gold, I think anything above 1890, we can continue this thing up. Let me see. So I have. Let's see. Okay, so Shorgio at 12. Awesome. And then Lenny at 2. And then we have back testing at 1. Looking forward to back testing with you guys. Always a great time, great learning. Here we go. So US 30 could be a huge liquidity grab depending on how this candle closes. Right? That's what you want on the these higher time frames. Like I said, you want to trade anywhere between 5 minutes and 30 minutes of that news coming out. It could be an hour, could be 2 hours, right? You could really maybe have to wait for your setups later on, but this could be a huge liquidity grab here. Look at that. Tapping into this area, right? Look what happened over here. Tapped all the way into this area, grabbed liquidity, corrected the entire move. Over here, rejected that area really hard, coming all the way down this area. Now, if we get this liquidity grab here, you're gonna have some very safe sells below 34,170 on US 30. Right? If we could get a nice close below there. Clean move to the left, coming down into the support. Makes sense? And then gold.
You sell in gold, Stefanos, this because he tests 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't want to trade in this on the 5 minute. We're ranging right now.
Usually.
So I would wait. If we did end up closing below here, maybe I could take a sell below here on the 5 minute. But right now up here, I don't want to be trading sideways, diagonal. But what we are seeing here on GJ is price starting to rally here.
Yeah, GG is more safety. GG
I would say so.
for setup.
But again, you're still in this range right here. Let's see how this 5 minute is going to be closing in the next 4 minutes. This 1 minute. See how the 1 minute's kind of ranging over here, but you're all getting this this nice support being formed. I could see GJ continuing up here with a stop loss below this 5 minute. I could see this maybe being a scalp coming up. I would possibly, I'd pretty much wait. It's looking nice right now. Is anyone seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Wait, repeat yourself one more time.
I'm looking at the 5 minute here on GJ, and typically you'd want the 5 minute to close, but I like what the 1 minute looks like with how we created this high up here. We pull back, you get these weak bearish closes, then you get some strong bullish 1 minute closes over here to continue up. Again, this range might be a little small, right? To try to execute a buy-in. Obviously, you're gonna have much safer buys above 161,800. But like I was saying, I think this 5 minute over here with a stop loss below this area, I think this may continue up. But if this is not your setup, I don't want you guys to execute on this. I want you guys to just live back test it, see where you guys would enter on it, and then go from there. Yeah, this 1 minute is interesting. Hold on. And then also, if you look at the 1 hour, this is what we always look for, right? Bottom pass, past the high of the previous candle right here. Strong bullish 1 hour candle.
The TP1 is how much? The TP1 for a GG? What you because
TP over here on GJ would be 161,800. It'd be that
800.
resistance.
Okay, 161.
Yeah, see, it looks like it's going without us. A little wacky of a move right there. Gold's just kind of consolidating in here. Now again, we got that liquidity grab on US 30 here. Right? If we could get a nice 15 in the next 15 minutes over here, the 15 minute is gonna in the next minute, 15 minutes is gonna be closing. But I think a safe sell below this area right there is going to be nice, especially with New York Stock Exchange open volume. But we got to see how this thing closes. I think I'd rather wait for the 30 minute. All right, 15 minute just closed a strong bullish candle. Part of me wants to place a trade with my stop loss down there, anticipating price to break out of this area. Just based on that 1 hour alone, right over here. But I'm not gonna get foolish. Remember, if you haven't caught a trade yet, you still have the stock exchange open. You still have 10 o'clock, 10:15, 10:30, 11 o'clock. So many opportunities to take a trade if you're not comfortable with these setups.
Why do you have that resistance level on GJ? Up
Right here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's basically.
See to the left over here.
Yeah.
Every time we tap into that area, get a sell-off.
Yeah.
We've had some good like rallies coming into that area right there, right? Get that higher low right there, a nice rally up, and then all of a sudden we just correct the whole thing. Coming across this way. So now we just ended up tapping into that area. I don't want to buy the high. I love the way the 1 hour looks, right? We've been calling this setup out for a while, right? Where we end up getting that weak bearish close, not that weak, but just no bottom wick. This candle passed the low right away, flips bullish, passes the high of that candle. Let's say it closes like that. Typically, this thing should rally, right? But right over here, you do have that resistance that you got to be careful of. But you do have clean buys above 161,800. Excuse me. Gold is holding support. I'm just going to move that right there because that's exactly where we tapped into right there. And I could see, depending on this close, I could see maybe that wick getting filled, but safer buys are going to be above 1870. What's up? Lynn, what are you looking at?
Personally, I think I'm staying out.
What's up, Lynn?
I think I'm personally staying out right now.
You're personally staying out? I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for news, I do need to like train my eyes.
You're not ready for it yet?
Yeah.
Well, listen, you're taking all the correct steps, exactly what you should be doing right now, and that's just journaling all the moves that you're missing. And then the most important part of that is going back and actually studying it. And I know you're doing that, but make sure that you're just going over, reviewing, doing later analysis every 2 weeks, and making sure you're studying these moves and training your eyes. Because the more you do that, the more you'll be catching these moves. Like on GJ, the more you'll be catching this right over here to catch the whole thing during London. You
Sure.
might even be holding the same exact trade. So you're kind of getting the hint over here on the 1 minute. We are rejecting that area, but could we be holding support in this area right here to continue up? But again, you're too close to that resistance to try to take that buy. It's not worth it. See what I'm talking about with gold over here? Like I could see that wick getting filled. Either on this candle. Now keep in mind, gold and GJ, the 4 hour is going to be closing in 10 minutes, right? So this 4 hour candle, big liquidity grab here on gold, right? We tapped into that previous support, rejected it really hard. So that tells me that we may be able to fill this range up here and continue up in the next 4 hour candle, right? Especially if this 4 hour candle closes above that resistance. But don't try to force anything just yet. US 30, the 4 hours not going to be closing for a little bit. Looks like it may be closing bullish. But on GJ over here, the 4 hour candle is going to be closing bullish. And this is what I was saying during the breakdown this morning, is this price action, higher low, higher low, higher low. another higher low over here, and the way these candles are printing, and how we're holding that resistance, if we could close above that area, like this tells me that we could push right through that. Make sense? But you just want to be patient.
Yeah.
Now I could see maybe, like, this is what I was kind of talking about too, was, you know, you did this range from here, from 161,400 up to 161,800 is about 40 pips, obviously, right? But if you could get like some kind of a support formed right here and a nice bullish candle closing in your direction, you have enough range to take this up, right? It's better than taking it up here on the 5-minute, trying to squeeze that out. I'd rather take, if anything, hold that support, especially after this fake out. If we can hold support right there, I could see us grabbing this up to 161,800. But understand the limitation of your trade. Understand that this is where you'd want to close majority of your trade. Maybe you can leave a runner and let this thing continue up and then get a re-entry later on when we hold support up here and continue right back up. That's another re-entry.
Yeah. Market looks tricky today.
Wow. Gold, US 30 on the 15-minute, huge liquidity grab, flip bearish, but now this current candle is bullish, right? So we're just really just ranging in here for now. Right? I think you're gonna have safe sells below here. Beautiful move to the left. And then if we could close above 34,375, somewhere around there, I could see us maybe filling that wick over there, if that's the case. But right now, after that 15-minute close, I don't know. Looks like we're really rejecting this area again. Lewis, what are you doing for Valentine's Day? I know you got a girl.
Yeah, we're gonna go get some food later or
Nice.
some lunch.
There you go.
And then yeah, I'll give her some gifts. I gave her gifts last night.
Oh, there you go.
Some jewelry and stuff like that.
Mm,
What about you?
sure, she's very happy.
Yeah, she was super happy. What about you? What are you doing with your girl?
I did everything this morning, but tonight I'm gonna make her a nice dinner. Do the whole thing. You know how it is.
What are you making her?
Making healthy stuffed mushrooms.
Healthy stuff, mushrooms.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're stuffed with actually goat cheese, which is not that healthy, but for the most part the recipe's pretty healthy. I'm doing some
Nice.
asparagus, some couscous.
Nice. Then we're gonna do lamb chops today.
Ham chops, there you go.
Yeah.
I was gonna make a nice steak, but I've been making too much steak.
Yeah, I see that.
Too much steak. Actually, for me, there's no such thing as too much steak, but for health reasons, I don't know if it's good to eat as much steak as I've been eating. All right. So that being said, that's kind of what I'm waiting for 9 o'clock. I'm going to be reviewing trades and doing my whole morning post stream routine, and then I'm going to be hopping on with Sergio at 12 o'clock. We're going to be back testing at 1 o'clock, hopping on with Lenny at 2 o'clock, and then I got more work to do after that. So, guys, have a great morning. Finish those daily musts. Sense of urgency. You guys got goals. You guys got people that are counting on you. You got yourself that's counting on you. Have a sense of urgency today. Get through all your things. Focus on the must every single day, and you guys will be successful. All right?
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you take a trade, post it in the group. I'm looking for that support here on GJ. Gold, I'm looking for safe sells below 1850 and maybe safe buys above 1870. And then US 30 over here, I'd rather see those sells below 34,120. So I could take these down. All right.
Thanks a lot, Steph.
Absolutely.
Stefanos, I have a question for the back testing. Is 1 p.m. in New York?
Yes,
Or-
sir.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, I'll send the link into announcements.
Okay, thank you.
All right, buddy. I'll see you guys
Bye-bye.
later. All right.
See you
Bye.
later, mate. Thanks.
Have a good one.
So